In April 1985, near Santa Marino, California, police on patrol received a troubling report. A couple named John and Linda Sohuss had disappeared. Their families hadn't heard from them for almost 2 months. Concerned, the authorities sent an officer to the couple's homes to collect information, hoping to understand the strange circumstances of their disappearance. But to really grasp what happened, we need to step back in time. In July 1982, Linda, 25 years old, passionate about art and science fiction, met John Sohuss, who was the same age. They immediately connected. Linda had a creative, slightly geeky side, and John was obsessed with popular culture, especially role-playing games. He convinced Linda to join him in those fantasy sessions, and even if she didn't always play, just being by his side made her happy. Their bond grew quickly, and John eventually proposed. Linda said yes. They married in 1983, and for two fans of fantasy, horror, and sci-fi, the date couldn't be more fitting: Halloween. After the wedding, the couple moved in with John's adoptive mother, known as Diddy. She was a wealthy woman who had once been part of America's high society scene during the 1940s and 50s. Her home was massive, located in an upscale suburb of Los Angeles. John and Linda stayed in one of the guest rooms, though they wished for more independence. Unfortunately, the small guest house on the property was already occupied by a mysterious tenant, Christopher Titchester. Living with Diddy wasn't easy. The couple wanted their own place, but money was tight. Still, things seemed to take a positive turn. One day, Linda and John visited her mother, Susan, driving a flashy new Nissan. Surprising, since not long ago they were struggling financially. During that visit, they made a big announcement. They were traveling to New York. John had supposedly landed an important government job in computer security, a position that promised stability and a brighter future. But by March 1985, Susan was worried. The couple hadn't returned. She called Diddy, only to hear a bizarre response. Diddy claimed John and Linda had left on a secret mission, and she doubted they'd ever come back. Susan, already aware of Diddy's heavy drinking, wasn't sure if this was reliable information or just drunken rambling. Diddy kept repeating that Susan should not contact the couple directly, that only she and a mysterious third person could reach them. Susan assumed this third person was the tenant, Christopher Titchester. When police later interviewed Susan and Diddy, they carefully noted every detail: the trip to New York, the so-called secret mission, and this strange third party. Investigators soon turned their attention to Christopher. According to documents, he claimed to be a British nobleman, the 13th Baron of Titchester, with dual nationality. The officer went to question him. What followed was one of the strangest encounters in the investigation. Christopher opened the door completely naked, claiming he was a nudist and refusing to put on clothes. Pale, sweaty, disheveled, and visibly dirty, he gave the officer an unsettling impression. When asked about John and Linda, his story matched Diddy. They were in New York on a satellite-related mission. But the officer couldn't ignore the inconsistencies, especially since the couple's Nissan pickup truck was still parked on the property. When Christopher presented his ID, things became even stranger. He had more than one name: Christopher Titchester and Christopher Gerard Trader. Yet his records showed no criminal history, no arrests, no tickets. Clean as snow. Then, in late April 1985, Susan received a postcard from Paris, France, supposedly sent by John and Linda. The handwriting looked like Linda's, but the message was odd, cold, and ended with a chilling line: "It seems we made a mistake." This raised more questions than answers. Why send a postcard instead of calling? Was Linda writing under duress? By July, 5 months had passed without word. Diddy finally reported the couple missing, along with Christopher, who had suddenly vanished, and the couple's car, which disappeared with him. For the next 3 years, police found nothing. Then, in July 1988, a breakthrough. The missing Nissan resurfaced in Greenwich, Connecticut. It had been sold to a couple at church by someone calling himself Chris Crow. Investigators soon learned Chris Crow was yet another alias of Christopher Titchester, also known as Gerard Trader. The man of many identities had resurfaced. Police tried to catch him at his workplace in Greenwich, but he never showed up, claiming his parents had been kidnapped in Pakistan. Conveniently, he disappeared again. His fingerprints were entered into the national database, but the trail went cold. Fast forward to May 1994. New owners of Diddy's former house hired workers to dig a swimming pool. What they uncovered shocked everyone: human remains. The body was wrapped in plastic bags, with the head covered in 2 layers secured by a telephone cord. The forensic pathologist concluded the victim was male, likely killed by blunt force trauma or stabbing. Investigators suspected it was John Sohuss, but identification was difficult since he was adopted and had no biological records available. Attention turned once again to Christopher. Tracing his past, police discovered a long history of fake identities. He had entered the U.S. in 1979 as Christian Gerard, a German exchange student. Later in Milwaukee, he shortened his name. In Los Angeles, he reinvented himself again as Titchester, the self-styled 13th Baron. Over the years, he played many roles: film student, producer, broker, and eventually Chris Crow. Each identity helped him slip through the cracks. Then, in 2008, 23 years after John and Linda vanished, the case broke wide open. A man calling himself Clark Rockefeller kidnapped his own daughter in Boston. The Rockefeller name caught national attention, and the FBI quickly arrested him. But fingerprints revealed the shocking truth. Clark Rockefeller was none other than Christopher Titchester, aka Christian Gerard Trader, aka Chris Crow. The conmen who had haunted the Sohuss case for decades had finally been caught. Investigators now believed the motive for John's murder was financial. Diddy's house was worth $300,000 in 1985, close to $900,000 today. If John and Linda were out of the way, Christopher stood to benefit. Further evidence pointed toward him. The plastic bags wrapping John's body came from 2 universities Christopher had attended: University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and USC Film School. The connection was undeniable. In the end, DNA testing confirmed the remains were indeed John Sohuss. Linda's body, however, was never found. Christopher Titchester, Clark Rockefeller, Chris Crow, Christian Gerard, whatever name he chose, was charged and convicted of John's murder. This story spans decades, multiple identities, and an unbelievable trail of lies. A man who lived as a baron, a broker, and even a Rockefeller was, in reality, a cold-blooded killer. And what's even crazier, he almost got away with it. And that's the chilling story of John and Linda Sohuss, a young couple who vanished into thin air, and the conman who lived a dozen lives before the truth finally caught up with him. But even today, one mystery remains unsolved. What really happened to Linda? Her body has never been found, and we may never know the full truth. If you found this case as shocking as I did, let me know your theories in the comments below. Do you think Christopher was responsible for Linda's disappearance too, or is there more to this story? Don't forget to hit like, share this video with other true crime fans, and subscribe so you won't miss the next story I uncover. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.